Do you feel the vibes?
All right, so those four angles that I highlighted are the quadrantal angles because they fall on either the x-axis or the y-axis. So this first one is 0 degrees. This one here is 90 degrees. This one here is 180 degrees. This one here is 270 degrees. And then we go back here for 360 degrees. Now, in radian, this is 0 radian. Up here, that's pi over 2. This is pi. This is 3 pi over 2. And then this is 2 pi. Okay. Now, when your angle falls on either the x-axis or the y-axis, there is another way you have to do this, and that is by using using the coordinates, right? So when you're here at the 0 degrees, and if this is a unit circle, that means this radius is 1. So when you come here, what are the coordinates? What's the x coordinate there? The x coordinate is 1. The y coordinate is 0. Okay. When you're on the opposite side, to the left, here, the x coordinate there is -1, and what's the y coordinate? 0. When you're up here at the 90, now what's the x coordinate there?
0.
And the y coordinate? 1. And here it's 0, -1. So now, remember, right? Sine is the x, right? Let's do sine of theta. Sine of theta is the x. Cosine, is that right? No. Sine of theta is the y. Cosine of theta is the x. All right? So if I'm at the 0 degree here to the right, right? This 1, 0, it's the cosine and then the sine. So what would the cosine be if I'm at 0? Here.
0.
The cosine is the x,
1.
so it would be 1. Okay, if I'm at the 90, what would the cosine be?
0.
Here, what would the cosine be? At pi, -1, at 3 pi over 2. And then here, at 1 again. Okay, so if I was at the 90 degrees, what would the sine be?
1.
What would the sine be at 180?
0.
What about here at 270? -1 and then 0 again. So that's all you have to do. So when your angle lands on one of these, you basically have to just look at the x or the y coordinate. So why don't we do this? Okay, so the values of the 6 trig functions of each quadrantal angle. So here we're at 0 degrees. Now remember, at 0 degrees, the coordinates are x is 1, y is 0. Okay, so for sine, that would be the y coordinate. What would it be? 0. For cosine, that would be the x coordinate, 1. Now tangent is y over x. So that would be 0 over 1, which is 0. Okay. Cosecant is 1 over the sine. So 1 over 0. Every time the 0 is in the denominator, it'll be what? Not 0. Undefined. Okay, now listen. You have to write undefined. You can't do like the no solution sign. All right? You have to write undefined. So remember, in math, whenever the denominator is 0, it's undefined. Okay? So secant is 1 over cosine of x. Cosine is 1, so 1 over 1 is 1. Cotangent is 1 over tangent of x. 1 over 0, how much is that? Undefined. Okay, now we're going to do another one. We're going to do the 90 degrees, then I'll take some questions. So for the 90 degrees, you have to write the coordinate point. 90 degrees is up at the top. Up at the top, x is 0, y is 1. X is 0, y is 1. So again, Sine is the y coordinate. How much is it? 1. Cosine is the x coordinate. How much is it?
0.
Okay. Tangent is y over x. 1 over 0, which is undefined. Okay. Cosecant is 1 over sine. 1 over 1. How much? Okay. Secant is 1 over cosine. 1 over 0, undefined. Tangent is cotangent is the reciprocal of the tangent. So it's 0 over 1, which is 0. Okay, any questions? Yeah.
Let's say for tangent, you get 0, right? But then it asks you to find cotangent.
Then it's undefined. 1 over 0.
The reciprocal.
Reciprocal is 1 over something. If you have 3, what's the reciprocal? Correct. And if you have 0, which is undefined.
Oh, that's the, okay.
Okay. All right. So now for the 180 is to the left. What's the coordinate at the 180? Negative 1 comma 0. All right. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds to fill out this column here. 30 seconds. Go. All right, and I'm going to call on some people. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. All right. So for the next one, 270, what's the coordinate? 0 comma negative 1. All right, you're going to get 30 seconds, and then I'm going to ask you what you got here. All right, on your mark, get set, go. So for cotangent, it's 1 over the tangent, right? Tangent was tangent is undefined, but how did we get tangent to be undefined? It was negative 1 over 0, right? So this, when you flip it, it'll be 0 over negative 1, which is 0. Okay? All right. So now let's continue. Okay, so we're going to do a mix of these. And on your test, you're going to get a page of these to do. Okay, so these are mixed between what we did last time and what the new concept was. Okay, so here we have sine of 5 pi over 6. You have to first draw 5 pi over 6. And when you do that, you have to ask yourself, is it within a quadrant or is it on one of the axes? Now this one is within a quadrant, but I want sine. Sine is the y, right? Why don't we write that here? So cosine x or cosine theta is the x, sine theta is the y. So here I want the sine. Well, 5 pi over 6 is the small angle, correct? The y value of this, okay, how much do you go up to get to that point? The short or the long? The short, a half. So this is just a half. Okay, next one, 180. When you draw 180 degrees, now is this within a quadrant or on one of the axes? On one of the axes. So look, so this one is on one of the axes. Okay, do you guys have a question? When your angle is on one of the axes, you have to go with coordinates. So here, I'm at the axis here. I need a coordinate here. That coordinate is negative 1, 0. Once you do that, cosine is the x coordinate, so that's just negative 1. Very little math there. Okay? All right, let's do another one. So this is what we were doing in yesterday's lesson. This is 5 pi over 6. That's the small angle. Sine is the y value. So how much do you have to go up to get to that point? If 5 pi over 6 is the small angle, you go up a half. Remember, the lengths are either a half or root 3 over 2. If this is the short side, it's a half. Okay, so tangent of 7 pi over 4. Okay, is this in a quadrant or on the axis? In a quadrant. Which quadrant is this in? The fourth. Okay, now, which one of the triangles is this? 30, 60, 90 or 45? 45. So for the 45, 45, how big are the sides? Root 2 over 2? Negative root 2 over 2. Right? Because I go to the right and down. Positive, negative. Now, tangent is opposite over adjacent. It's y over x. So negative root 2 over 2 over positive root 2 over 2. So if you have the same thing divided by the same thing, it's just 1. In this case, it's just negative 1. Okay? Okay. So far, A and C were exactly what you had on the homework for today. All right, so let's go to this one. Pi over 2. On the axis or in the quadrant? On the axis. Where? Up, down, right, left. Up. Okay, so if it's on the axis, what do we look at? The coordinate point. What's the coordinate point there? 0, 1. Okay, now, cotangent. Okay, you with me? Okay, cotangent. Right. So, no. So, okay, listen. Okay, tangent is y over x. Cotangent is x over y. No. It's 0 over 1, 0. Okay? Okay. All right. 5 pi over 3. On the axis or inside the quadrant? Inside the quadrant. Which quadrant? Fourth, you're sure? You're right. Fourth. 1 pi over 3, 2 pi over 3. 4 pi over 3, 5 pi over 3. So 5 pi over 3. Now, is this a big angle or a small angle if it's over 3? A big angle. So hang on. So a big angle. Now, okay, hang on. Secant. That's like cosine. Is that x or y? X. Okay, so to get here, is the x going to be the big side or the small side? The small side of a half. So this is going to be 2 over 1, which is just 2. Why is it negative? That it's positive.
How do you know that it's the short
Positive half. It's the big angle. To get here, physically, you have to go over a little bit, down more. So that's the short, that long one is the vertical. Short, long to get to that point.
I thought if it was over 6 that it was then you would base it off.
No, the 3 or 6, you have one is shorter, one is longer. Okay? All right. Cosecant of negative pi over 2. So negative pi over 2 on the axis or inside the quadrant? Okay, where? Up, down, right, or left? Down. What's the coordinate there? Okay. Cosecant is like sine. Is that the x or the y? Y? Nope. 1 over negative 1. Okay, 1 over negative 1, negative 1. Okay, what's the sine? The sine is literally the y value, negative 1. Cosecant is 1 over it. Okay, so negative pi over 4 on the axis or inside a quadrant? Okay, which quadrant? Fourth. Okay, what are the sides of this triangle? Root 2 over 2 and root 2 over 2. Okay, so cosine, is that the x or the y? The x. Nope. Here we go. This is the x. What direction is it? Negative or positive? Positive root 2 over 2. Have I told you yet that you're going to have a page of these on the test? Okay. This is literally the big idea of this chapter. Okay? Everything we did was going into this. Okay. 0 on the axis or inside a quadrant? Okay, what's the coordinate then? Nope. 1, comma 0. Now, do you see how I'm asking the question every single time on the axis or inside the quadrant? You have to ask yourself that same question every single time. You have to go through the same reasoning that I'm going through. Okay, sine. Raise your hand if you think it's the x. Raise your hand if you think it's the y. It's the y. So it's going to be 0. Yeah. No, I don't care. No. Yeah. Okay. Tangent of negative 120 on the axis or inside a quadrant? Okay. Tell me what quadrant then. You sure? Yeah. Yes.
I don't know. I'm never sure.
No, it's second quadrant. We're past that now. Now, big angle or small angle?
It's negative or small. Oh, but then it's tangent.
Okay, hang on. That's not the answer to my question. Big angle or small angle? Okay, how do we know? So we can't guess. We need to know. Okay, so it's right here, right? The reference angle here is 60. So it is the big angle. Now, what are the... Okay, so tangent requires 2 sides. What's the horizontal side? Short, negative half. What's the vertical side? Negative root 3 over 2. Huh? So it's a negative angle, right? Yes, Sunny. Okay, hang on. Okay, hang on. Okay. Are we okay with what I drew so far? Negative a half, down much longer. Okay. Okay, so tangent is the opposite over the adjacent. So negative root 3 over 2 divided by negative a half. The 2's cancel, as do the negatives, so you just have root 3 over 1, which is root 3. Okay, last one. On the axes or inside the quadrant? Yes, and also the negatives cancel, right? Because it was negative, and also this is the quadrant for the tangent, so tangent has to be positive. Yeah.
I thought you always do y over x.
It is y over x. Y over x.
No, like for the fraction. Why are we doing half over it?
Because half is the x. It's the horizontal.
Oh, so that would be cogant.
Yes. Okay. So here we're in the second quadrant. Is this a big angle or a small angle? 150. Small, because the reference angle is 30. Okay. So now, cosine is what? X or y? Cosine is x. So to get to this point, how much do I need to go over horizontally? The big amount or the small amount? Big amount, negative root 3 over 2. So that's just negative root 3 over 2. Okay? All right.
Press start.